with Meta. Mr. Hayes, of course, yesterday, the spring finals not going your way, but I heard last night there was some pretty intense review and preparation for today. Take me through some of that team chemistry building last night.
Yeah, well, for the most part, there was some wrestling, and, we kind of just got a little kumbaya circle going on, looked each other in the eyes, and just meditated really hard for a second. But, we played the game, so we know what needs to be changed about them.
And with that in mind, with your performance yesterday in the PPL Spring Finals then, do you feel that it was more in-game execution or it's draft that you needed to work on specifically to improve?
So, draft changed a lot, surprisingly, since Vegas. And we didn't get that much good practice before coming here. And I feel like we're adapting. We're a good team at adapting. But they played better than us that day, but they also drafted better than us. So hopefully we can improve that. Definitely
endurance is playing a factor in it. I mean, we were talking last night about how this is, without a doubt, the most grueling 3 weeks at Paladins that has ever existed. You have Vegas, and then, the Europeans have a lot more travel than we do, but it's still taxing to have only 2 or 3 days at home. And so endurance is definitely playing a factor into it. But, we're really thankful that the Masters land has saw some double elim format afterwards. So there is space for us to make those mistakes and still turn this week into a positive.
And speaking of positive, looking across you guys kind of sitting at the tables, there's a lot of smiles, a lot of lighthearted jokes being thrown back and forth. That mentality has to go a long way just to keep the positivity. But when you get into game and things go wrong, who's probably the biggest guy to turn the negativity around and just try to bring that big positive energy back forward for the team?
So, in-game, we're not really cracking jokes and stuff. That's usually just for, after game. In-game, we're just focusing the most part. But we're just constantly talking about what's going wrong here and what we can improve upon.
Honestly, the really jovial nature we have outside of the game is just to counteract how serious we are in practices and in matches and stuff. When you're so serious about getting to the top and being there, when scrims can kind of go bad and you can turn on each other, but you have to be able to, shut that off once the scrim block ends, and you need to be able to joke with your friends, because at the end of the day, these are your friends.
So you guys are so serious when it comes to actual in-game practice and actual research as well. I've seen the kind of depth that you guys all go into when you're researching other teams. This Masters line has pulled in a variety of PGS teams from all around the world, excluding the PPL teams, which you've seen more recently yesterday. Which of the PGS teams are you most concerned about? Which of them would you consider more of a threat?
I think the top three have to be, Burrito, SSG, and Kanga in no particular order. They're both, I would say, kind of at that upper echelon of the PGS where they're starting to rival PPL teams. And I definitely did my research into them specifically. Everybody else, I think we're kind of confident that we can just play our game and react to what they're trying to do.
Gangstars is continually improving as well.
Yeah, they have Jalen now. So,
yeah.
They showed up a lot at Vegas playing with a manager. And Jalen he's no joke. The kid's got real talent.
And now, another thing here is just kind of wanted to get to know a little bit more about you guys kind of as a team, get your personality built. What would you say is probably the one thing that people looking in at you guys just don't really know or don't fully value when it comes to what Team Envy is at the core?
I feel like at the core, we're all just friends, a family. We get along really well together. That's why you see us laughing all the time. In tournaments, tilt's never an issue. We're always focused.
I would say that it's probably the impact Rubu makes on the drafts and stuff. I get a lot of credit for being, the main drafter as a coach, but Rubu does a lot to get us going in there. And also Rock, I think everybody sees him as just like this stoic Rock who never says anything. Rock, whatever. But Rock makes jokes and memes more than anybody else on our team. He just does it quietly and off mic so nobody knows about it.
Yeah.
So we've talked a little about the humor that comes in as kind of the offset to how severe you guys are when you're actually playing. And you mentioned a second ago as well how this is a really grueling stretch, the most grueling 3 weeks of Paladins in the history of the esport, where you've got this 3 weeks of constant competition and how it's an endurance game. Is there any thing that you do specifically to kind of balance that out? How do you pace yourselves when you come into a competition that you know is double elimination and is going to be very long?
I feel like we prefer double eliminations. We adapt well, so we just use it as an opportunity to adapt. We all love playing the game, so playing it more is not a bad thing for me personally.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. We do fairly big scrim blocks online around 3 to 4 hours every night, and that kind of helps prepare. And also, this team's shown a lot of endurance straight from the start. Vegas was our first LAN together, and we made that pretty crazy run through the losers bracket on Sunday.
12 games in a row.
Yeah, and we were on stage playing nonstop. So this upper bracket stuff is really nothing. It doesn't even come into the endurance question. Once you're down in the lowest bracket, though, that's a different story.
More of a do or die situation, backs up against the wall. Sure. Well, we've seen you guys fight with your backs up against the wall once before, obviously hoping that you won't have to do it here. But if you were to pick like the perfect match made in heaven, this is the grand finals, Team Envy plays who in your mind? Last question here.
G2.
G2. 100%.
I want to face G2 in the finals. I want NA versus NA finals.
100%.
All right, well, long road to get there. Good luck today, though, guys. Have some fun out there. Of course, the smiles, hopefully we'll continue to see those as you move through.
Love you, Shift.
I love you more. Good luck, guys. Thanks so much.
Team Envy feeling as competitive as ever, but also as friendly as ever.
This really, getting a vibe from them before the spring finals into today, it feels like two different teams, energy-wise. And, there's a lot of pressure that goes into the spring finals. Again, it is day one, technically, of a long LAN, but that day still established, who is the best PPL team for the spring split season. So as we go into the Masters LAN, I think that there's, a little bit more of a weight, a little bit of a fresh breath kind of built into this Team Envy. They don't have their exactly an easy road by any stretch of the imagination at all throughout the weekend, but I think you hear it best from Mr. Hayes and Meta when it comes to that jovial nature that they talk about so much and that breath of fresh air that's coming into their play style here today.
That's the thing. We've recognized it when interacting with them, and they've stated it directly in interviews that they are a bunch of friends, and that has helped them not tilt if they have a bad day, understanding the just implications of a double elimination bracket. But the thing is, they're going against Burrito, who is also a group of friends, who have also actually played together for the longest time, and at this point are a little family from Latin America.
Yeah, the familia for sure. I mean, these guys are just so much fun to watch, and I think that it really was established back at World Championships that it is not just the fact that they're dominant in Latin America, but what they bring to the table needs to be taken seriously across every region, no matter where they are, whether it's going to be in Atlanta continually over and over again, or if it is back home between Argentina and everything that's going on down there. I mean, these guys are absolutely well qualified to move through, but it's just interesting because back from Vegas, everyone's like Rock Monkey, best direct damage player possibly in the world. And now he's going to have a chance to go up against what I would say was the best damage champion from World Championships in Hecate. So this is fun. We're going to have a lot of fun on this desk, I think, with this set.
Oh, yeah. We're very excited for it, and also excited by the fact that we got to hear some words from members of Burrito earlier. So let's take a listen.
¿Cómo estás?
Fine, you?
Good. Sadak Puliuli. Now, the first place I want to start is back in World Championships, that best of 7 versus Na'Vi. If you were to ask me personally, that was the grand finals. If all things were to have happened a different day, that very well could have been top 2 teams in the world. And talking with Hecate and talking with you guys afterwards, you were saying how hard you worked to make sure that from Latin America you could match up with the powerhouses out of Europe and North America. How do you feel about your chances now with a couple of months in between to come back and possibly take the first ever major championship for a LATAM team?
Pretty good. We have been grinding a lot, like 2 months, as you said, and we could see now the other teams in Las Vegas. So we have an idea of what they play and how we can counter them as our playstyle. Like Latin America has another playstyle. There are a lot of difference between NA and EU, and Latin America has its unique draft, Yes. Yes.
With that in mind then, when you say that sort of Latin America compared to North America and Europe has very different drafts, do you feel that's more in terms of the champions that you enjoy playing, or more on the maps where you kind of take the fight to?
I mean, it really depends because we love playing flankers, we love playing blasters just as much as EU and NA, but it's sort of like maybe the tanks we play and the playstyle we use with the tanks and the flankers that is unique for us. So yeah, I think in that regard, yeah, we're pretty unique.
Now, a lot of people look at you guys when you're Nocturnes, now that you're Burrito, and a lot of the star-studded performance comes out of Hecate and Fuzzy Logic, but if the thing is, you ask them, and they say the only reason they get a chance to have that impact is because of the two of you. So kind of take me through your guys' chemistry and your relationship as two frontliners coming into this kind of double front, single front play style that's been kind of flexing between.
Yeah, everyone says like we are like brothers because we know each other so good, and well, the DPS gets the reward because of the kill feed or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean, we open the path, right?
we
And
do
they work it,
we do
so-
the dirty job.
Yeah.
So coming into this, we've seen a few different adjustments in the game and in the meta with the release of Khan being able to be played, and also the recent buffs to Drogos. Is this something which you, now you've seen some of the teams play both of those on LAN, that you feel is a threat that you have to change, sort of do some last minute adjustments with, or do you think you're going to stick with what you got and you got ways to counter them maybe?
We are used to play against Dragos and Khan, so it's not going to be a problem for us, but I don't know, it really depends, because if we have Fisheko, for example, in front of us and he's playing Dragos, yeah, it's a problem, but we can manage that.
We played against Frozen God, the space station gaming blaster, and he's
a god.
He's the best blaster I think in the world right now.
Yeah.
And so we are used to play against a good Dragos or Bomb King.
So you're saying you have a chance to play against Space Station, but outside of Latin America, how much experience have you guys had online playing up against other North American teams or other Brazilian teams?
I mean, against NA it's really difficult because we have 200 ping every time we want to scrim against them, so we basically just restrict ourselves to Brazilian teams. We mainly scrim against Space Station and sometimes against the top 2 on Brazil, but that's all.
Based on what you've seen then so far and the lands coming up, and also what you've seen from online play, is there a specific team that you're on the lookout for that you either hope you don't match up against, or you've developed specific strategies to try and take down?
Well, I myself personally, I'm looking forward to play against Fnatic because I think they are the best team right now. But other than that, no.
It's a
Not
long
really.
road.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of teams in front of us, so nothing specific.
Speaking of teams in front of you, you have obviously a big one in front of you to start things off. Now, some smiles still creep up, but is there any kind of nerves as far as, the expectations following Worlds into now, again, a resurgence for possibly Latin America? Or is this still kind of a, let's get our mojo going, let's get our motivation moving, and then potentially make a late run? Or kind of take me through your mindset as you go into your first game here on LAN.
No, todo tuyo.
I think that we are really prepared to face Envy. We have kind of same playstyles. Maybe in the DPS part, Kate versus Rock Monkey, it's the great show. And but I think we're gonna do okay. We expect to win against them, of course, and then face Fnatic, but it really going to depend what the matches, are.
Fnatic has to win as well.
Yeah, I mean, yes, but
All right,
I mean,
then,
it really
folks.
depends. Yeah.
Last question coming through then. We're in a double elimination format for this Masters LAN, and you guys are definitely no strangers to a long format. The HRX games and the sets that you played in went the distance more often than not. But are there any adjustments that you've made? Is there any kind of pacing adjustments which you thought of before coming into this LAN, or is it just take one game at a time, one foot in front of the other the entire way through?
Yeah, we have prepared against a lot of teams, so whatever we present in any map, it's against first with. Oh, sorry, I have to rephrase. Yeah, Envy, we have to face first Envy, so the draft is against Envy, just for Envy, not for anyone else.
Step by step, basically.
Yeah, step by step.
One foot in front of the other all the way through. Thank you guys so much, and best of luck in your upcoming set.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
So we have learned that Burrito believes FRZ got to be the best blaster, despite them about to go against Random Noob, and they're not worried about this set.
It's hard not to love those guys.
Right.
They come in, they work hard. I mean, probably harder than just about anybody else out there, considering their situation. The Latin American region has been dominated by these 5 guys almost forever. It would be hard to say that it's not just been Nocturnes the entire way, because it really has been. So the fact that they're able to find the resiliency to work and try to find those scrims against teams that you're not going to have the greatest situation, with the online connection, and then come out and do what they did at World Championships and now have to tackle down Envy, who just had that majestic run throughout Vegas. There's a lot of adversity in front of them, and they seem confident. Well, you got to like that.
There's so much hunger in this match, and so many people are anticipating it because you have Team Envy, who had the victory during the Las Vegas LAN. They've been trying to prove themselves despite coming in as 4th seed from the PPL. But then you have the opposite end where we don't get to see Burrito very often.
Right.
They just show up whenever international scenes are brought through, and they always show out.
Yeah, it's got to be a lot of pressure, though, too. I mean, the fact that you only get these isolated incidents to show the world what you have. I mean, they seem pretty confident and calm when I asked them about their nerves, but you would have to think that still there's that slight chip on the shoulder when it comes to, we need to prove this for Latin America, for ourselves, that we can take down these perennials that are very routinely on these major broadcasts.
An interesting map selection as well. We haven't been here yet today to any cold place, mind you. And starting off directly at this locale, Sniper's completely taken off the table. So you have the Rock Monkey versus Hecate matchup, and then you have the Rubu and Tolki versus Pulewule and Sadak as well. There's so many parallels to make.
It's going to be one of those things that if you're watching at home and you main a damage dealer, you main support, or you main frontline, you have to watch the game inside of the game. You need to find those small isolated moments where the frontliners are going up against each other. Those damage dealers do have what, Pulewule and Sadak were saying was the great showdown. This is going to be so much fun to watch. I wish we had all 10 cameras on at the same time just so we could keep up with it. Ruckus being banned away again, and this is going to be the interesting thing for this draft, because if you're Team Envy, you know Hecate's power with a scope in hand. Whether it is Strix or whether it is Kinessa, I would be surprised if we don't see those two banned away almost every single map. It doesn't make a difference where it is. But here specifically, this is a really strong start for Envy. I think when you take a look at it, it is going to come down more to, can Random Noob perform at a higher level than Fuzzy Logic when it comes to those blaster rolls or potentially the Mave. We don't know. I couldn't tell you for Burrito who would possibly play Mave if it came out.
And the thing is as well, whether FRZ God or Random Noob are the better blasters and such, if they're both on that high enough caliber, that means Burrito has been actually getting a lot of experience playing against those type of compositions as well.
Right, that's actually really huge when you consider the general experience when it comes to finding how not only the meta has progressed, but how to play up against it and how to fit your own play style with it. We've heard so many times before from Space Station Burrito that they don't get as much practice as they would like on characters like Bomb King because of the ping discrepancy from their regions. This is interesting, though, for Envy. If they do lock in a Lex and a Mave, that's a lot of mobility. And against Cassie, that's a lot of pressure in her face.
And also, going with the jukes.
Okay, I was about to say, wow.
Juked. Yeah, it would have been pretty crazy if they just locked in 2 flanks right off the bat. But it does look like they're actually going to go with the Mave, which I'm assuming will go to Random Noob.
And I think that when you take a look at the Cassie pickup first, you as Burrito in the mindset of saying they're going to pick up Mave. That just shows the confidence that, when Hecate is going to pick this Cassie up, it's going to be, I can hit her midair and moving at the speed of light with no problem. You have to have that confidence going in that matchup is one that you can win. This is interesting, though, is the Buck. On this map in particular, there's only 2 routes you can really maneuver. So you as Envy need to be keeping an eye on that statue side, on that wall side, to make sure Buck doesn't get into that backline, because if he does, there's a lot of open ground where havoc will be caused. It's just very telegraphed which paths he has to take.
Both of the DPS players on Burrito, though, have such distraction potential in the way they play. So I think that they may go for that strategy where they have to open up those passageways for their Buck to actually make it through, and then Envy will have to deal with that brute force.
Oh, and you heard it from the mouths of the frontliners themselves that they're very familiar with opening up space and holding down that front line and really, having that ram-on-ram action where they're just headbutting up against the opposite front line. They're usually the ones that push back the hardest. So that's what they're going to be looking forward to. Again, you cannot talk enough about the combination of Anara and Meldamba as far as not only the healing output, but now with Terminus as well, the Swift Spirits. That's the biggest thing for me when you come to the double frontliners that don't have great mobility in their kit. The Swift Spirits from Meldamba give them that boost they need to be able to go up against a Fernando.
Especially on a map like this where you have some areas that are actually quite spread and you want to be able to navigate it effectively. But on Envy, they're going with a lot of comfort. They got the Shaolin for Rock Monkey, the Mei for Random Noob, and then now it looks like they might be going with the Barrack to clean things off.
This is really interesting as far as how this playstyle is going to work, because Barrack on this map, very viable because there are a lot of line-of-sight breaks where he can set up those turrets around corners, keep them safe.
Yep.
But the thing about it is, with a Maeve who needs to get aggressive and find the comfortability to push forward, it's going to be a lot of kind of a tug-of-war battle right around the pivotal point, which will be that barrack setup. Wherever that barricade gets placed, if that cooldown is down, they need to be very careful because there's not a lot of line-of-sight breaks when it comes to the damage that could potentially be coming in from a Cassie and a Buck.
Well, this set's bringing some tingle to my fingers and
I'm
everything.
feeling
I got
ready.
the
I'm excited.
excitement. I want to see game number 1 in action, so let's throw it over to the casters.
Well, thanks, ladies and gentlemen. We are here, Evan Rayner and Nick Keogh. Ray and Pretty here to cast it. And, Nick, you've been shaking your head about that last
I don't
pick.
like it. I don't like it. Not just
You don't like Barrack?
But Barrack is good. Ruba's Barrack is good, but I think they have Fernando. It's fine. It's great to put him on that. They have the Genos. I think 3 DPS. I think Leon, especially against both those Stagalas with the Maldaba, with the Buck. There's so much sustain for Burrito. Death and Taxes with Tolki's Leon, I think would have been a better way to go.
You know, Tolki maybe not feeling confident, and Rubu maybe not feeling confident either in going on a DPS role or going on to something like a Khan or a Torvald, which we've seen Tolki do quite a bit. Tolki, Torvald, those are some of the big wins they got in Vegas when he played that.
Torvald Moji.
Torvald Moji may not coming in. It's a big one, guys. We've wanted to see it for a long time. Burrito, ever since January, we have wanted to see these guys play, and it will be against the winner of the Last Land, Envy, now in prime fashion. Tolki rocking the Tinker and Barrack and Random Noob on his ever-present, ever-dangerous Sixth Sense styled Maeve.
I truly haven't been this excited for a set in a long time. I think this could easily be one that goes down in history. I'm incredibly excited to see how this one goes. First damage going to be landed by Team Envious. Random Noob, his Maeve looked incredible yesterday.
Rock Monkey and Random Noob find the kill. That's a double for Random Noob to kick it off. And it's Tolki as well who's going to take down Sadak. Well, front lines, they don't need to stand on the point if they kill everybody else, Nick.
I mean, Random Noob, I think he's had the best Maeve of the tournament so far.
Yeah.
When you look at who he's been playing against, the PPL Fall Finals, there is no slouches to play against in that bracket yesterday, and he still felt that way to be. Random Noob so far setting the bar for all the Maeve players of this event.
And the poke has just been real. It's so hard to get back in that corridor. Tolki doing a good job of controlling the angles as well as Rock. 87% now and counting. For Team Envy on the objective. 96 now preliminarily just getting in there, but Team Envy grabbed the objective just like that. Under about a minute played, and Burrito have yet to wake up.
And this Barrack, it's got a lot of mid-range bursts. I mean, the ability to fight at mid-range for Team Envy is pretty scary. The Tinker and Barrack, the Maeve, as well as the Shaolin, all things that are great. And I said, you know, I could see Burrito owning this set, this being a legendary set, but I don't see Burrito getting smoked this set, but so far, Team Envious have looked absolutely dominant. We've seen no signs of life from Burrito.
And really, this is all just a result of winning that first objective. That last-ditch attempt was them just crawling back. Could they get it? Oh, once they couldn't, they had already overcommitted, and then we're just resetting again. So really, one full team wipe for the side of Envy, who are looking good. This Barrack is definitely making a move, but it's really based on Random Noob's Maeve. He's been poking out Fuzzy Logic at the start of these fights. Buck has done nothing yet.
So good at eviscerating these frontliners. He eats a big burst from Cassie, goes in, resets his cooldown. It's not enough to kill Pule outright. He will die eventually. A 3-for-1, though, in favor of Envious. They are in control of Frozen Guard.
And now that's a full wipe right there. You can see Fuzzy Logic again getting low, not out, though. But everyone on the side of Envy feeling confident, feeling good. Mr. Hayes on a 9 streak himself with Through Time and Space. Primed and ready, as well as the Heat Haze.
They know Fuzzy's back there.
And the Immortal. This will be bad. Mr. Hayes going to get exposed here if he's not careful.
Looking for the stun on a Crimson. He's going to find it. Rock Monkey withdraws out with his life as well. Critical pick. Fuzzy Logic is still disjointed. He's causing some havoc, but he's got bigger fish to fry here. The payload is inches from conversion.
Well, he's got Maeve off the point, but Envy have everyone else on the side of Burrito off the
here,
point.
guys. Oops.
Not quite what he wanted. You know, I've been playing a ton of Maeve lately, and this build, Street Justice, is obviously so good. It's what's made her so effective, Nick. But I actually think Frozen Guard is a map that, for whatever reason, I've been getting, and she does really well here. There's a lot of places for her to be that midfielder style that I like to compare her to a soccer game.
Yeah, you know, the further away the targets are, the harder they're hit with these projectiles, but she's the only flanker that can do that effectively at mid to long range. She's her own setup, and that's so rare. You know, you land a couple of those daggers. You're seeing Random Noob be very patient with his pounces, but he has set up a lot of his own kills.
How do we see this change, though, for Burrito? They took the left side, They all got wiped. Rock Monkey did a great flank to the left and just basically pincered them so that what Random Noob set up was really able to be collapsed on by him. Now Rubu joining the cause, giving just Rock a little bit of pressure. They don't want to lose him, but Puleoli taking a completely different route here on the left side.
This Burrito front line has to set the pace. They are the stronger front line. They have more healing available to them. Rock looking to make a play on the support. One more shot will do it. Rock Monkey taking control of Burrito.
And that's good collapse, though, by Burrito. Sadak gets the kill, and Fuzzy Logic gets one as well. Starting to play this buck and finds two. Fuzzy Logic finally starting to show why he picked that up in the first and second and third spots, but this is a reanimate you don't want to get near. Tolkien finding a big kill onto the flanker and a double for Random Noob, but I don't think he's going to get through Sadak just yet.
I got to be honest, I think Tolkien really did a good job at making the best out of that situation here. He gives Random Noob the 1v1 with the Terminus. That pounce runs straight into the big body. He's able to just barely skirt himself out of danger. Burrito clearly don't want to lose another frontliner. I think that's a smart call. They have comeback mechanic, so they need to play the point.
And where's Akate here? Where's Crimson? Those two are just getting decimated here. And I'm not talking about Terminus decimation. I'm talking about Random Noob and the daggers. And Streak Justice here maybe coming for him as well as he gets a little taste of his own justice. 30% now for MV. Burrito Esports in control of this with comeback mechanic. Looking for the stun. Can't quite find it, but Crimson just skirts away.
Look at Fuzzy Logic. He's the last hope here. Crimson as well on his last legs.
Oh,
on top of him.
What?
That looked like it was a 2-for-1 at the same time. Rubu with a big fireball.
Half off.
He's taking the risk. He gets the double. Throws up the shield as well. Barely makes it out with a little bit of HP. 84% for Team Envy despite the comeback mechanic for Burrito Esports.
And whatever you don't like about Barrick, you can't deny the fact that when the man gets set up with 3 turrets to his name, he is a dangerous, dangerous player. Double kill. I mean, this Maeve is changing the entire dynamic. I don't think there's really much else to say. Random Noob's gotten double kills, triple kills, stayed alive this entire fight, and that's why Envy are winning here.
Maybe we're seeing a little bit of that Envy being okay with them getting Inara and Terminus. They walked them into that draft just to eviscerate them both with Street Justice. It's a great matchup against Terminus. I mean, as good as you're going to get against Inara. She is just so tanky. There's no way around it, but I think Street Justice Maeve has really been the best at dealing with it we've seen.
And the hit scan is not really there on the side of Burrito. I mean, Fuzzy Logic, it's a tough task for him to be able to deal with Maeve. Buck into Street Justice Maeve is not a great matchup because she's just as tanky or tankier than him and more mobile. But right now, we finally see a little bit of a settlement, but they're just ignoring this Barrick, and he's going to make you pay if you're not careful, Puleuli.
And they play it so aggressively as well. Tolkien and Rubu both can frag really hard. And they have been putting so much pressure on Crimson. How many times have we seen Crimson specifically being dove? Tolkien's not even worried about this Inara. He literally doesn't care.
And I think this is really throwing the way Burrito want to play off. Usually Crimson is not the one who has got the highest deaths in this game. But even taking a look at the KDAs here, I bet we'll see him quite at the top of the charts if we do bring that up. But right now, 1 minute and 23 seconds still to go as this payload is pushing. Crimson getting focused again, and 0-6. This is not a good play from the support so far.
It's a little rough, man. There's no real hard peel for Burrito Esports. I think Team Envy are just playing this well. Burrito have clearly, they go to the objective, right? You see, remember back when Rock Monkey, he heat hazed and he dove Crimson, and then it's like we saw Puleuli and Sadak, yes, they were coming, but they were coming from point. They were clearly trying to set up on the objective, and it's Envy, I think, just playing properly around this composition.
Big kill there, and like you mentioned, Nick, they're trying to basically use that Mending Spirits, the Swift Spirits to get there, but
again.
They kill Crimson, and there's no Swift Spirits. They lose their mobility once they lose Crimson. He is such a keystone of this lineup, but already 39 seconds. It's an Immortal from Rubu, and that is going to probably make sure Puleuli goes down, but Hakate still on the upper rails, fighting away, but with an inch of his life.
I think this is a great time to point out how important supports are. We talked about how dangerous this front line is for Burrito, but they are looking so human without Crimson backing them up.
I mean, Fuzzy Logic doesn't want to dive this. A lot of respect for Rock Monkey. Good heals there coming through. Reanimate's probably going to have to be used here. I don't know if they can really accept not doing it. Random Noob, not going to get poked by that. Fuzzy Logic gets down, and here it is again, the Moldava. The cactus on the head.
It's 0-8? 0-9?
Puts a serpent to bed, apparently, and Sadak now finds 1 kill on a Random Noob. They will be without the Maeve, and the respawn will be in the advantage of the defenders, though.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Hopefully, Burrito can reinforce this fight just to keep this game going a little bit longer. Some kills starting to come through. Hakate and Fuzzy Logic starting to come alive a bit. And I got to tell you, I've never been
the world becomes
in love. I've never been in love with Burrito's buck play, to be quite honest with you. It doesn't feel like something that they identify super heavily with. Leon is, I think, got to be a big pick for them this set. And the healing not being such a big factor for Team Envy. Envy are just playing so smart right now.
I mean, I think at this point, man, the conversation has to be around Crimson. You know, they're going so out of their way to dive him, and they are getting it every single time.
17 and 7.
Can we look at the healing numbers as well? Because I think that will tell us how Crimson has been able to do or not do his job. He's going for the resilience, and Crimson still, I mean, think about it, still been able to keep up.
A Maldamba that can't beat a Genos,
but he
with
should be ahead.
A rejuvenated Nara on his team. It speaks volumes, man. It's incredible what Team Envious have been able to do with this. Random Noob 17 and 7. They can do this though. Burrito, they're so good at protecting Akate when he's on Kinessa. Why can't they adjust and just protect Crimson?
Look at this right here.
You can't let him die every time.
Look at how easily Random Noob gets past every single line of defense. Creating space is one thing, but you're also creating openings and holes, which Maeve is diving through in order to get to your support. But Crimson makes a nice rotation, and they just turn the battlefield on its axis.
That's it. They've already lasted twice as long as they have in any other prior round. Finally, Burrito Esports are winning a fight because their support live. It's really that simple.
It really is, and that's the problem. Envy, you've been winning, and you have been dominating, but they have basically not had a Maldamba this entire game, thanks to your efforts. But now when they do have their Damba, when they do keep Crimson alive, what's the fight look like now? We're starting to see Burrito showing a shade of themselves that we saw at HRX here as Cassie activates the Scout.
And the comeback mechanic is still enabled, so overtime started early in this round. Random Noob falls again. Frozen Guard, it cuts both ways. Envious are going to have a tough time taking this objective back.
And Rubu should go down, but oh no, look at this. Straight trying to find Crimson. He's going to get him. Rock Monkey stays alive from one end to the other. What an adventure this man's been on, and so far it is not without value. He goes into the hop thing, can't quite track Fuzzy Logic, who ends up slaying Shaolin, and Burrito will get their first objective of the game.
Deep breath for Burrito there. They finally get themselves on the board. And while looking at Fuzzy Logic's Buck, he's playing the ensnare style. It's not that bulk up. He's running the massive cooldown reduction build. And this allows just Buck to fight a little bit better from mid-range, be able to constantly move quickly. That bonus damage elevates. You don't hit super hard 2 to 3, maybe 400 from mid-range if you're making solid contact. Ensnare is going to push you to where it's actually a sizable bit of damage. And always being able to just shoot your net shot and move around quicker is so much fun to do.
Woo, I mean, you can't even keep track of him.
Wow.
I mean, I didn't even know where he went. And this is just a very hard champion, and it's not a great matchup for Buck. Buck does not win May very easily with the Street Justice
Not without
style.
bulk up.
No, not, and even with bulk up, it's really hard, man. I'm telling you, it's just been something I've noticed over the past couple of just moments playing these matchups here. It's very tough. Sixth Sense puts her on that level of tankiness as Buck is, and her damage is more persistent. She doesn't have to reload. It's just very hard to win and outlast her.
Now, we could see, we don't have a name for it, but Envy is struggling to shift gears defensively here. If Burrito are able to get a lot of momentum going early, here comes the reanimate. It's not going to catch anyone's life. It will take a big chunk out of Fernando's shield. But Rocky's already picked up 2. I mean, is that the fight to reanimate into?
Maybe a bit of a guess. Thought maybe that Rubu's shield was down. Good plays by Rubu, though, having it up, ready, prepared for that moment. Minute and 5 seconds now for Burrito Esports to push. This was a tall task, excuse me, for the Latin American team, who were semifinalists at Worlds, to be able to push now against Envy, who are the last LAN winners. Random Noob kind of reprising his role as just such an important value to this squad.
Yeah, we talk a lot about Rock, but Noob got this team started. Let's call it like it is. Season 1, he's
keeping it going.
The judge, jury, and executioner for Team Envious, and now he is still really, really impactful. When Rock is not stepping up, Random Noob is still there, and more often than not, his Maeve has looked the best at this event.
I mean, Crimson just really walking a tightrope, isn't he? Just one shot away. Rock Monkey, you can see him. He's looking for him any chance he gets. This is just incredible persistence and patience from Rock. Look at this. He's waiting, misses that shot, kind of guesses wrong on Akate's sidestepping. That salsa seems to be a little bit more advanced, so Rock, you might have to learn a few moves before you can compete with the Latin Americans there. But Random Noob and the rest of the squad looking good on the defense with Fuzzy Logic very close. Power Siphon's keeping him healthy, though. It buys time for the recovery. I just don't think it's going to be enough.
He's so deep. Akate misses his combo on a Random Noob, but puts him at 500 HP. Might be enough. Rock Monkey Random combined for 2 for nothing. And it's so heavily in favor of their defense already with how close their spawn is. I don't see him bringing this one back here.
And I think at this point, you got to be worried because you use that reanimate. And so you got to last
and didn't recharge. He used it like with like a minute 15 on the clock.
Yeah, you got to last a while. And Terminus is not one where you can use it at a minute and expect to have it for the next round. You need a full round to charge that
Especially on Frozen.
Yeah. And you know, it's a different beast, right? But Rasadog, I think maybe just guesses wrong. Maybe just isn't aware of the cooldown timer there.
There is that element of like Fuzzy just got bursted down too, and it's like halfway through your channel, like 3 of your teammates died, and you're like,
yeah, I shouldn't have done this. My bad, my bad.
And that's why it's Terminus ults. They almost need to be called by the team.
Yeah,
it's not really the Terminus in my eyes, because if you're dead, you're not really getting a lot of information about what's around you. So your team needs to let you know whether it's time to come back or not. Crimson stays alive a little bit more.
Jeez, man.
But still 0-10. Passes Genos back up, and that we can't stress it enough. He should be obliterating Mr. Hayes on the healing charts right now, but because of the pressure that Envious have been putting on this Burrito support, he hasn't been able to do his job.
Little Mutu strats there. Yep. Fuzzy Logic still on the mount, so he wants to see exactly where Random Noob is. Cassie's going to have the vision, though, and there's a through time and space, but they all go away. Cannot find anything, and now this is a decent matchup here because he's already got May poked out low, and he's going to go for it. The ensnare and the buck while he's trying to turn on the gas, and he goes and says, hey, I am here to play. Random Noob gets taken down.
Now it's time for you to put some pressure on this enemy support. Put the gas on Mr. Hayes. Hits it for 600, 700, and one more to put him in the dirt. But Rocco, of course, cleans it up quickly. Dread Serpent takes down the shield from Fernando Sadak.
Oh, he got it back
early into the reanimate. He almost healed him out of that one.
I mean, did you even need it right there? I think he could have waited a little bit longer, too. But I like how Sadak's committed to his style of reanimating, and I think it's allowing Burrito Esports to play around it effectively. Again, camera can't even keep track of where Random Noob is at this point. So mobile, but it doesn't stop Burrito Esports from using that comeback mechanic and being able to tie this thing up 3-3.
Great boy grip there. Fuzzy Logic could be in a rough spot here.
Oh, that's a bad one.
Bulk up, or recovery without bulk up is like just enough to not die. It doesn't really heal Fuzzy Logic for too much there. I actually want to take a quick peek at Sadak's loadout. I want to look if he's running the card that makes your Shatterfall cover more horizontal distance.
Yeah, 40%.
Look at that, man. I was going to say, like, the way he jumped to the high ground there, he was like, he covered so much distance. And on top of the fact that he hit his head, it didn't make it as cinematic, so it happened so quickly. I'd never seen a Terminus move laterally so fast.
I do really enjoy also the Hulking Monstrosity 4. I think it's just a standard card. Terminus got those nerfs a few patches ago, and now a few means probably 4 or 5. And oh boy,
wow,
no one expected to see that one from the top ropes indeed. The Undead Man swings through with a plan, and that Massacre Axe is definitely causing a ruckus.
Rubu, he simply just can't be allowed to do that. Pops the Immortal kind of just because it's, you know, minute 40 left in the round.
Right.
He's going to recharge that, but he cannot be allowed to go to the backline and 1v4 Akate and get that kill.
I think at this point, though, you know, this is a really precarious spot because everyone on Burrito's low. But if they do not die, like, here's the thing. Now, Random Noob overcommitted. They had to get that kill on the Crimson, and Rock is right there. The Yin to Random Noob's Yang. It's a beautiful synergy between these two, and they're making sure they keep their priorities on the healer.
They're playing really, really strong. Envy, after a pretty rough defeat yesterday, have bounced back incredibly well, I have to say. You have to say this team has shown a lot of resilience. They made that run through the loser's bracket. Meta Pusher early talking about stamina. The winner's bracket isn't where champions are made. It's who comes and fights their way out of the loser's bracket indeed. Sadak looking for a way in. Burrito and the gang. Plenty of ultimates to work with, but only 40 seconds on the clock.
He doesn't want to take that Maeve poke. She's going to win that battle. But Tolki's in trouble here. That Shatterfall is covering so much distance. I mean, not a lot of people play with this style of distance on that jump leap from Terminus. So Sadak may be catching a bit of Envy off guard there. It's game time. They can push and commit, but they already get one ultimate from Team Envy.
The in-hands from Random Noob are just so good, and they're all poked out so low. Nobody really wanting to commit super hard one way or another.
It's going to live.
My goodness, Sadak lives with less than 100 HP for sure. Pule so low. Fuzzy Logic finds the first kill, and this could snowball if Crimson can get the heals going.
Oh, Crimson gets taken down, and this is just so good, man. Whoever it is, whether it's Tolki, whether it's Rock Monkey, finding kills on the support, and pretty much at this point, you hear this tone in my voice because you really don't expect pushes to go through this distance on this map, especially if you don't have your healer sustaining you through these fights. So Team Envy, they are going to defend. It's going to be up to just one objective to separate these teams. What a neck-and-neck performance thus far.
Dang, and every ultimate except for it looked like Scout, which kind of sucks because it's very rare that Scout is as important as it is in this matchup in particular. Both Heat Haze and Midnight are looking to be countered by the Scout from Akate, so it is an important cooldown, frankly. Normally, you can pop it pretty selfishly. You don't have to worry too much. Maybe pop it at the start of the round here, but only at 48%. I don't know if Akate is going to have that available at all.
Dude, Rock Monkey and Random Noob, look at those KDAs, 22 and 7. This is Vegas to the max. Akate and Fuzzy Logic are not positive in their contributions to these fights. But Sadak and Puleuli, the rest of the squad, the cohesion of Burrito is withstanding this onslaught of Envy excellence from a damage perspective.
46 and 21 for the back line from Team Envious. They've looked phenomenal so far today. Everyone feeling each other out. Diving into the back line is Rubu early on. He's looking for the first blood on Hecate, but look at this. Sadak holding things down on the left-hand side.
And he wants more. He's going in with the Power Siphon, with the Calamity Blast. Rock Monkey letting go of the bow so he can get some extra move speed. 6% for both teams. Good shot there. Crimson getting low, and he's going to fall. Tolkien finds him. Barrick doing work, Nick. I know that's not what you expected.
He throws down the Dome Shield as well to keep these Stagala out of his point. No comeback mechanic. It's all up to the boys here. Random Noob hits a couple pair of knives and takes Fuzzy Logic down.
And at this point, you want to see Sadak not reanimate, but it would buy them a little bit of time, and this is what I think he's going to do. He's going to buy them time so they can get back to contest the point. It's a very dangerous position because he cannot die here. Street Justice almost takes him down, and the through time and space from Mr. Hayes will collect the deed indeed as he finishes one off, but there's a Dread Serpent from Crimson, and it can't quite get Random Noob.
They have to kill him. No, he made it out. That was sloppy. Fuzzy Logic cleans him up. Probably took longer, probably took more cooldowns than he wanted to. Look, here comes the help.
Nice jukes.
Rock Monkey doesn't want to let Fuzzy Logic get his support for free. A big shot answers back, but Fuzzy ekes out the kill on the Rock.
Nani? How did that happen?
Nani?
Fuzzy Logic survives, and he also takes down Rock Monkey, who's going in to help Mr. Hayes. He's like, let me help you, bro. I'm not going to get taken down from this, but that's what happens. It's Barrick, it's Terminus, and now it's Buck joining into the fight, but there is the beautiful Street Justice benefits. Goes through the shield, but the Power Siphon is still alive, and Hecate is back finding a double.
Oh, it's Hecate versus Random Noob. 2 for 2, both backline DPS, but Hecate comes out alive. 87% for Team Envy. The pause comes through. Looks like maybe a technical problem for Hecate there. And this is down to the wire. This is very, very close. Still anyone's game here, but obviously Envious with a massive capture point lead.
I mean, that's a hell of a pause.
Hell of a pause.
Hell of a pause.
I don't know what the rules are.
I don't know what the rules are about that, but that is a heck. Let's go heck of a pause because I'm emphasizing. I mean, I think this is a great game. You could see these teams like, guys, what is actually going on right now? Because it's just a bit of a circus. And I know what the feeling is because it's really like who gets the next double kill that's going to decide this, right? Who has that big play where somebody gets a value pick like a Rubu finding a fireball that cleans up a support or something like that. When that happens, then I think it's going to tilt towards one team. But right now, it's anybody's game to seize.
First wave of ultimates used early on, so they're going to be coming back up shortly. We saw Scout just recharged and used. The scope of this fight is still showing that it could be anyone's game here. We saw the double kill from Random as he comes back in, but Hecate robats in, gets a double kill of his own. The tanks are trading out 2 for 2. I mean, this is an all-out brawl. Strategy is starting to fall to the wayside.
And I think that's what it is. You saw that double kill responded with another double kill. And Hecate, he's been relatively quiet today. And, I love the guy, we all do, but the fact is he just hasn't really shown up big on that first pick, Cassie, which is where this draft is looking weird for Burrito.
But that's why you can take it back and talk about the front line, right? They're annihilating Crimson, so the front line's not doing their job as well. So Hecate and Fuzzy Logic don't look as good. That is Burrito. They are a unit. If one piece falls out, they have to pick themselves back up to get the machine walking forward again.
And you have to say, it brings into the conversation. I don't think Rock Monkey can do what he does and have that space if the Mave isn't applying the same amount of pressure. I don't think these front lines get so decimated because when they step on the point, they should beat a Barrick. They should beat a Nando, but they're not because Street Justice Mave pounces twice, and that's 5,000 health off their health
They're
bar.
doing such a good job. You can't give Envy enough credit to the way and the strategy that they've applied to this game to work around what is a great composition for Burrito. 3-3, massive lead for Envious on the capture point objective. We're going to get right back in the action.
93%, and it's Puleoli facing off against Rubu. 8 streak for Mr. Hayes, so he is alive for quite a while, and those elimination assists are coming through, but Rock Monkey could be in trouble. He's in stealth, and that's Shimmer. Shimmer just might have saved his life. Loadouts, ladies and gentlemen, loadouts. Overtime ticking away, and it does end up being the card that I was mentioning. Envy, I think, might take this one. And boy, oh boy, is that one they're excited about. Rubu gets up, says, guys, we did it. We're one game away from moving forward.
The breakfast of 3 Musketeers and Monster energy drinks. Letting Ryan Wong know he's got the energy. He's bouncing off the walls. That kid is an absolute bundle of energy. A lot of fun to be around. And a little stunned on the side of Burrito.
Yeah, definitely. But I think you know what went wrong, and I think that's a good way to lose. When you don't know what went wrong, when you're like, we got good picks,
They didn't
play
play
well.
Envy just played so good.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the way they gave all the first 3 points to Envy were kind of like free, right? Burrito didn't really contest. If Burrito played the way they did towards the end of that round, then I think it's a different game, maybe a different result. But either way, Envy take the lead and an incredible set thus far.
It is a set that we asked for, tight from beginning to end. And you got to give it to both of those teams for their performance. And Burrito even showing that moment in the center that we've talked about with them, that adaptability. Now they just need to do it at the end of the game for the next.
Yeah, it's a 3-step process for me. The first one is coming down to what is your play style? Burrito and Envy both wanted to set their tone early, set their tempo early. You could see the aggression that came out of Buck, that came out of Cassie, playing opposite sides of the map. The frontliners moving forward. It was almost exactly mimicked from the side of Envy. The second is understanding your pros and your cons. For the side of Burrito, their front line was their pro.
Oh,
that is that situation when you have a Nara Terminus going up against a Nando Barrack, you win that front line 9 times out of 10. The problem became the fact that Buck and Cassie were still trying to flank around the sides of it, and Crimson was wide open, like a quarterback without a halfback left to protect him. And then the third he's mentioned is the ability to adjust. You saw them adjusting. You saw them coming back in. That's what they find their 2 straight points. Just end of the day, though, Random Noob has looked stellar on Maeve this weekend. Woo. This is the pinnacle for him as far as his Maeve so far.
And you mentioned while we were watching that he's just getting better every single game. And the fact that it's this increasing momentum with this pick onto Random Noob and just lasting much longer than he should in some situations.
You could copy-paste that statement to the entire team of Envy. Tolkien had a number of slippery escapes. The same way with Tolkien, I think, had the biggest one. When he was slipping around the corner and he stayed alive, Ruba had a couple of incidents.
He just backed up. He didn't even turn around.
Exactly. There was no rocket boots needed. And that, again, just goes big shout-outs to Mr. Hayes, who played an incredible game on the solo Genos. And it's just... I think Nick and Devin hit it best. You know, Burrito is one of those teams that specifically you see if all 5 players are playing their roles correctly, they succeed. It's the same thing for Envy, though. In that time through on Frozen Guard, they started off in a position of power. There were a couple of moments where Burrito started to fight back, but the gap was just a little bit too big to overcome for him.
And I think Burrito going with the comfort of their strategy, where a lot of times if you watch them through the PGS, they have their frontliners that are aggressively forward. You got Fuzzy Logic as well as Hecate flanking. And then Crimson is often put on babysitting duty on the actual objective, which is just because of that openness from the rest of the team. So trying to take that approach and then sticking with it a little too long, a little late to react to the fact that Crimson was getting obliterated when left alone, then that's what ended up making it such a close game. But if they can catch that earlier and adapt, then they might be in for a better just match in game 2.
Absolutely, and there was a moment in there where you could tell the mindset changed, because there was one round where all 4 of Burrito had pushed forward, and Buck was actually staying behind and said, let me get the information first, let me make sure Crimson doesn't get dove on, and then let me try to find the Genos. And that's just really good adaptation. I mean, if you're a fan of Burrito, you're out there thinking that this is not the greatest start. To be honest, I'm actually really okay with the fact that they were able to adjust quickly and actually make a game out of that.
Well, and at the PWC, when they had dropped down to the lower bracket, and they had said they went back to the hotel and they just VOD reviewed and planned for the rest of the night. And when they came back the next day, it was an entirely different performance from them. It's kind of just an aspect of using that same approach, but in a more limited context, right? In the middle of a round or in between games, still being able to make that adaptation.
Absolutely so. And as we go through the bans here, again, I'm not going to be surprised to see both Strix and Knessa taken away. As much as I think a lot of people would love to see the sniper versus sniper matchup to assert dominance, who is the better sniper, you can't expect to see him come through. This is big, though. The fact that you're getting Makoa for Envy, but not just that, but on Frog Isle, that's huge, because you can play the map in a number of different ways because of the ability of Makoa of pulling somebody out of position, the ability of Envy to collapse on somebody. We've already seen it as they dove for Crimson. Now it's almost the opposite. The player's going to be sucked into them. So if they can completely pincer and collapse on whoever gets pulled from Makoa, this could be a very good start for Envy.
So an answer on the opposite end, bringing through Inara and Genos. Genos was a very good pick for Mr. Hayes during the last game. We'll probably see him on something like the Maldamba during this game time around. But Burrito, I think they know how to deal with the Makoa, being with 2 players that are very skilled on that pick. Hopefully they can find a way to juke around it.
The thing that I'm most interested about, because a lot of the time when we see the Genos, it's mimicked up with a kind of hybrid or pure damage pip. And I can't specifically say I've seen instances of Burrito really utilizing that pip pickup, and I'd be interested to see how they would be able to play it. But the Shaolin, again, this is going to be another interesting topic of conversation. Of course, the North American teams are just so in favor of the Shaolin pick. And how could you be surprised to see that after the performance that Rock has had on Shaolin just historically over the last couple of weeks?
But I don't know if they can beat Hekate emoting in stealth on the middle of Bright Marsh during a game. Until you do that.
That's like Guinness Book of World Records moment. Someone's going to have to overtop that.
I don't know if anyone can, but... Yeah. For real, though, with the Shaolin pick, we saw Rock Monkey picking it up like, it ain't no thing. I'm still going to show out on this. And we were waiting for the Cassie to go ahead and click in that way with Hekate. And a lot of it was target selection. But that's what you're looking for in this head-to-head matchup. You have to be getting into your groove just as quickly as the competition.
100%. And, you know, you had mentioned it very nicely when it came to the play style that Burrito has in Latin America. It is full gas pedal. You know, engage the NOS and just go forward as fast as possible. And when you deal with a team that is more experienced and has that same play style, to be honest, there has to be a little bit of pumping of the brakes. And actually, to be honest, this is a really solid, full-on balanced lineup so far for Burrito, with the Khan being a little bit of its own engagement. In case Makoa does miss a hook, then Khan has the ability to Commander's Grab if he does hit it. And the Xin Genos, of course, you know, it's a story. That damage boost onto Xin is very dangerous.
Ooh, and we might be seeing Leon come through, which has just been a great pick for both Hekate and Fuzzy Logic, depending on exactly who they want to throw that on. And they said in the earlier interview, Pulewele and Sadak, how their drafts will be specific to Envy. So I am excited to see how they bring the Khan through in this match.
Oh, 100%. And again, similar conversation as it was with the Makoa. Can you follow up when Khan wants to get aggressive? Because he's got good disengage. In fact, you might even say he's got better disengage than Makoa. If Makoa misses a hook, he's kind of just sitting there in his shell. Khan can at least use the battle shout, get a little heal, get a little crowd control reduction, and it could allow the Xin to get a little bit more aggressive because of it.
Well, we're in the middle of our best of three between Team Envy and Burrito. Let's go ahead and hop into game number 2.
Well, I got to say, this is a great start, I think, for this set. I mean, we wish it could go best of 7 right now because these two teams are really ready to play. What's your first thought?
I forgot it was best of 3, and now I'm kind of upset.
Now you're upset, right? I know. I had to console you a little bit back here. But, I mean, listen, we still got a great game ahead of us.
Hopefully.
It's not going to be that – dude, it'll be fine.
This is a great draft from Envy, and it's one of those – kind of how we talked about earlier with the Gangstars on their Frog Isle game. It's like unless there's some hooks broken and this Khan really starts to pull weight for Burrito,
right,
I think Envy win this game.
Yeah, I mean, Khan is definitely one of those champions that right now has some hidden potential. How much has Sadak invested into finding it out, though? Because if you do, there could be some surprises here. Fuzzy Logic onto the Xin, and of course Pulewele on that Inara. They will have a lot of sustain. But Random Noob on a BK, that is a scary proposition.
Ooh, I'm actually kind of surprised. Normally it was Hekate playing the Xin and Fuzzy on the Leon when those two champions were brought through. But Hitscan is as Hitscan does. Dumps a couple of Calamity Blasts to the back line, and Hekate is poked super low.
And he actually got Rock Monkey's withdraw to go for it there, but they end up backing off, and this is just good poke. This is good zone. Pulewele totally getting away from his team, and at this point, I think it's smart to pull back. Sadak finding first blood onto Rubu there, but Rock Monkey returning the favor onto Pulewele and Sadak in kind.
I mean, that's such a great matchup for the Bomb King. He goes right over the counter. Envious. They controlled 80% of that map in that entire fight. They were really never out of the driver's seat. I was never worried for them. It felt like Random Move, every single bomb he was throwing was calculated. He knew it was going to land.
Yep.
They knew it was going to land. It was just a matter of time.
Two great players on both teams here, Rock Monkey and Hekate. I mean, everyone you mentioned is amazing. And that CC immunity actually saves Sadak from getting blasted off of the map. He puts up the shield. Hope Guard. You're going to need a lot of hope because all you got is a Geno seal and bombs flying at your face. Random Noob cleans that one up, but again, Burrito Esports are not quite out.
They have to make a change, man. You can't run Khan Xin into the Bomb King. He's going right over the counter. He's going right over the shield. It doesn't matter. This is the easiest matchup Random Noob has ever fought.
Yeah, this is tough. Team Envy grabbing first objective, and they are looking strong coming out the gate here against Burrito. Yet again, this reminds us of Game 1, where Burrito didn't really have an identity to their lineup until they started making some crucial adjustments onto Crimson.
And I wonder how the mentality is for Burrito, because frankly now, this is, oh my goodness, they are not performing. This is no longer pat him on the head, pat him on the butt, send him home, good job, maybe next time. This is weird. This is not acceptable for this
He got
organization,
him.
for this team.
Nick, he poppy bombed Sadak off the map. That's not the kind of value
Not
trade you
Gord.
want. 1F ability gets a full tank off your lineup, and that's Rock Monkey doing Rock Monkey things. This man has really showed up. I don't know if we've seen KDAs, but I bet it looks good. I'm not sure he's died at all this game.
Nope, no one has except for Rubu.
Oh, no.
They lost first blood, but it's all been good since then.
This is where Burrito Esports have to wait. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of kind of fighting mid-fights. They haven't really formed a 5-man group and gone back to contest or finding any picks, and that's why things just aren't working out. Really good battle shout, though, to save Sadok's life from the King Bomb, but they still can't pick up anyone else.
And he should be able to just go over the top of the shield with one more in hand. The
Good
wall
wall.
goes up to block most of the planet, finds a nice little needle thread at the
Oh my
back line.
God.
One more is getting a kill. Sometime someone is going to fall there. Rock finds the double.
Oh.
Rock finds the triple kill, and Team Envious will convert for a 2-0 lead.
Great stuff from Rock Monkey. Again, impressive as always. Random Noob excited as well, and he's just really saying, guys, this is what we need to do.
That looks like something could have still been done better.
Yeah.
Rubu, you can't die there. Like, I mean, what else do you want, Paulie?
And you gave him the Makoa as well. I mean, it was kind of a bad spot because you were going to give him the first pick. And so it was either going to be the Cassie, the Makoa at that point. They choose to go with the Makoa, but Rubu happy with that. This is Rock Monkey's build. That Shimmer pretty much saved his life in that last round of Frozen Guard. Not sure it would have changed the tide, but...
And that's a nice little threshold to run at 45%, about 900 HP. Once he hits that mark, as long as the cooldown is this card up, and it's a 30-second internal cooldown, that's what that little indicator at the bottom of the card is for. Just completely gets the reset there of his Desert Shadow, which is, in turn, his biggest damage boost as well.
And his biggest just buying time potential, right? Pulaole, and now Khan gets to the back line. Oh, a big ult. They're just going to kill Rock Monkey here.
I've been chosen.
You know, this is extremely smart because it's like, hey, let's get this guy off the table. He is threading the needle. He is doing so much more than we want to see. Power Siphon galore. Beautiful stuff there, but it still doesn't save Random Noob.
Where's the rest of Burrito? I feel like Sadak just killed both of those people by himself. It needs
'cause
to
he
be
did.
the rest of the roster. Kate, Fuzzy, get in there, boys. Finish this fight for Burrito, and they
gotta kill
do. Pule credited with 3 killing blows. That's going to hit Sadak,
Gets a lot
it
of
looks
shields.
like, but Tolkien just gets melted down immediately.
You know, and they use the Commander's Grab as well. I like the way that we're seeing the aggressive Khan. They were way too passive last round, and this is
Agreed.
a totally different Burrito Esports with this lineup.
It's adjusting all
Good
the
void
time.
grip.
They adapt so well. Instead of, it was a clear mistake running Khan and Zin into Bomb King on the left-hand side. They immediately switch. They send Sadak to the right. Everything goes swimmingly for Burrito.
And it's because they realized Rock Monkey poked Leon, Akate out. He poked one of the back line as well. I think it was
maybe Crimson?
Crimson, and it just was so easy for him. He had no pressure, so they're like, guys, what are we doing? Are we really going to leave the guy who's going 25-5 on the battlefield? Like, let's focus him.
The math doesn't check out. Up over the top of the shield. That's the weakness, though, in this matchup. Random Noob has been playing to his champion's strength so wonderfully. 2 for 2 so far in this engagement. It's going to be in favor of the defense. Envy will be able to reinforce this fight a little bit faster, but it's still progress made for Burrito.
And, I mean, you're only going to do so much against a great player, right? Rock Monkey's going to get his. He's going to get his 20 points, so to speak. You can only shut down a LeBron, a Kobe at that level, so you can expect something. But right now, keeping him in check is really the key. You cannot have these huge streaks. You cannot have these deathless moments for Team Envy, which they've had a preponderous amounts of throughout the course of this matchup in this set thus far. 1:24 now. Burrito could push, and if they don't, Envy will go up 3-1.
So tanky here. 2450 on the Bomb King, running a decent amount of HP. Is Mr. Random Noob. He's been pretty much hip to hip with Makoa as well. Not an easy duo to push into. Overpowered.
Okay.
The sacrificial lamb, but Khan is just as vulnerable during his ultimate.
And that just really doesn't feel good, does it? Crimson looking for some through times and space
kill him,
options,
dude.
but they did not kill it. And you know what? I think this is just it's just a rough one to see because you fully commit. And maybe that's not who he wanted there because they were all grouped up.
I'm saying when the payload is where it is, I'm pushing up left stairs, and I'm just dunking somebody off the map. I'm not taking that chance of me being exposed against the Shaolin. Rock Monkey's just going to go to planet. He's just going to turn you into Swiss cheese. There's so much
You need a
hazard
wall.
zone to play with on Frog Isle. Dunk him off the map.
Here, the other option is, right, you pick up the Khan, then you wall everybody off. You just keep your team
That could
behind
work, yeah.
there, and you wall everyone off. You say, okay, you got to come around the wall, and then you'll face all 5 of us. I think at this point it's just definitely working on the synergy of that. It worked well at the start of the round, just not great after that. Khan playing it with the shield up, let it go. Start firing back. You know you're going to die. It's just delaying the inevitable. I think just start putting some pressure onto these DPS.
Especially against Bomb King. He's just going over your shield. You're really saving yourself maybe 200 damage by forcing random move to blow the bombs up over your head instead of sticking you in the face. But the another thing here is this is Burrito's composition is the onus of execution. If they are not playing perfectly around, they just lose. Unless Khan gets that pick, unless something big happens at the start, they've lost every fight.
Let me ask you a question here as we see some great stuff from Tolkien, and unfortunately this is the pick that didn't work. Akate. Akate's not been playing too well. And how does that feel as a Burrito member, knowing that you're kind of star, the guy you're looking to carry the charge, the vanguard, so to speak, isn't really having his best day?
I think we definitely put him on that pedestal, but I really think it comes down to this front line from Burrito hasn't had as easy as a time as I think they have in the past. Things for Fuzzy and Akate look so good, look so easy because of the pressure of the space, but they've been working with 20-30% of the relevant map space in these point fights. Team Envious has been in control.
A lot of wreckers, mostly because the death and taxes from Akate is going to give him his Cauterize 3. Notably, no Rejuvenates really on the side of Burrito, except Rejuvenate 1 for Puleole. Khan investing into the Hope Guard, I would imagine, for the extra shielding and healing when that's happening. Through time and space from Crimson will not connect, and Random Noob now sees the green light, but here's Akate just trying to slow it down, and here it is. Zen can counter this. Random Noob's got to be careful. I don't know if he's going to go for it.
A little Swift Spirits action as well. He just keeps Fuzzy and Akate distracted the whole time. Rubu picks up the double kill onto the front line of Burrito, and it all falls apart from there. 3-1 lead. Team Envious.
Oh, boy.
Should be able to put Burrito away in a quick fashion here. I got to say, I am surprised.
I'm surprised as well. And here it is, Sadak on the point, maybe. This will open up some time. I don't know. It seems like he's just a little isolated here. The big general, the Primus of House Ico, I don't think he's going to stand in the way of Team Envy staying in the winner's bracket. It's going to be Burrito, who drop, and now we'll have to fight tooth and nail for every opportunity they get after this.
And they're pretty amped about it. Little Shawnee boy as well, cracking a smile. All right, guys, well done.
Great performances, though, from them. And, I mean, they were the storyline coming into this for sure. We wanted to see Burrito after those 5 months. Not what they were hoping for. Maybe a little bit, I think, had high
better
expectations.
in the losers bracket anyway.
I think they had high expectations of themselves, you know. And I think this is kind of shatters that. And you're like, all right, man, I'm just a guy trying to stay in this tournament with my other guys, and let's just see how we do. And you don't have this, oh, we should have maybe been in World's Finals. We should have beaten Navi. We are one of the best teams. Let's prove it now.
But no slouches are Envious as well. Coming off their win in Vegas, showing that they are here to play. They are prepared. They are well rested. The breakfast of champions in their bellies, fueling their victories here. It was 3 Musketeers and Monster Energy for Rock Monkey.
I mean, that's a hashtag ad if I've ever seen one.
That's a winner right there, boys.
I mean, you get your protein and the nuts. I don't know.
Do you?
I guess. We'll find out here. Maybe almonds? I think so. Let's send it back to the desk, see if they have an answer for that.
I can't tell if I'm jealous of that breakfast or revolted.
When you were probably 7, jealous. Now, might be a little bit more on the revolting side.
Probably. But, hey, whatever works. Team Envy looking as strong as ever. And they mentioned it kind of jokingly by the casters, but both of these teams said they're comfortable in the lower bracket.
Yeah, and, you know, I think at the end of the day, there's a lot of considerations that have to go in from the last time we saw this Burrito squad to now. Bans are the first thing that really comes into play. You know, you see Hecate has stellar performances on direct damage dealers. Envy says, nope, we're not even going to give you the chance to do anything with snipers. So I think at this point, if you're Burrito, you need to have a little bit of a powwow and say, you know, we can't just rely on Hecate to pick up a power pick for him and just absolutely dominate. On the opposite side, if you're Envy, man, you have to be feeling super good about what you just did because they looked as good as ever. Specifically this guy. This is the only angle he has to shoot, and he still finds 5 or 6 shots to connect. And then on top of that, this little jump peak that he has with the planet, oh, it's just beautiful.
And it was on this map with the sniper a little bit ago where there just this little peak opening between 2 trees, and he had gotten a kill through that as well. So he is just the king of finding the smallest space possible to work with and saying, I can still kill through that.
It's one of those things like he would find him like in a tiny home and he could make the most out of tiny houses or something.
Just
of the
like
sort.
the little peephole, and he's like, this is all I need. This is all I need. But as a unit, team looking very strong. I think that's what, when you look at Burrito, it's what happened in that early game, because when you're going against a team as strong as Team Envy was, then that is all the difference where, hey, we had some great plays later, but we lost too much momentum from before.
Yeah, this game, the second game, was just flat out draft. I mean, we didn't see Xin have much impact. We didn't see the Lian have much impact. We didn't see the Khan have much impact. It's a tough spread. I mean, that roster is very dependent, like Nick and Nevin were saying, on the Khan to make a play happen. And you even saw it. I mean, he pulls in the Makoa, not able to convert the kill. And maybe it wasn't the proper target, but regardless, if you're going to find a way, you're going to say, all right, I'm ulting the first person I see, your team has to be there to peel up. And just flat out, the impasse wall wasn't enough to block the line of sight. It just, there wasn't enough done, I think, as a full team for Burrito there against a very resilient and very good Team Envy. We cannot leave out the fact that Envy is an incredible team. They didn't do it, they did in Vegas because they got lucky. They are that skilled to do it. And again, you're going to be running into more and more of that the later that the days go on.
Mr. Hayes had some great Dread Serpents in that game that were just enough to go ahead and get the last couple picks they needed to either capture or push. And the combination of that with the, once again, comfort of Shaolin and the Bomb King, all these picks that we're just used to seeing these players on. And it's as if they went from the last time they played them right into the next with no actual stop. Yeah,
you're exactly right. And we've been seeing Random Noob get better game after game on Maeve, but you can't let him get Bomb King for free like that. So that's a really good show. Again, for Envy, as you move forward throughout the winners bracket, you need to feel really good about that performance because Burrito's still a very solid team. They drafted better. They played better, flat out.
Well, let's go ahead and hear what the boys of Team Envy have to say after that victory.
Congratulations, guys. I don't know that I expected that to go as quickly as you made it seem. Real quick, though, talk me through what happened during that pause on Frozen Guard exactly, or what you guys thought.
We were thinking that we pretty much had it, just locating our enemies and rethinking all the CDs and trying to figure out how to play it through in our head, and just we wanted just to play it safe, you know, nobody feed, and I almost did. What?
Talk me through the breakfast of champions here. I saw you eating the Three Musketeers and that big juicy Monster Energy Rock. Is that giving you the fuel you need to destroy Burrito?
It actually gave me a pretty big boost. You know, the first day you don't have that LAN hype because it's so.
It felt a little weird not having.
So
it wasn't like a LAN hype. It was like
you're so
it was weird being in a
contained
box,
and,
I guess. But
you're all chill and everything. But
I think the monsters helped.
Yeah,
it gave us the juice that we needed. You know, to get going.
You definitely had some juice after game one. You got up out of your chair. What were you saying to the guys at that point?
I was trying to hype everyone up and get everyone going because I don't know. After yesterday, you want to just try and pull it back, make sure we're proud of how we're playing, and I think today showed that we were able to do that and be proud of what we did.
What did you guys do last night? Because I know you wanted the VOD access, but we didn't have the replays of the last games that you guys lost to G2 for. So what was your preparation like for this matchup?
we watched a Dutch comedy sketch.
Yeah, we watched a Dutch comedy sketch show.
Yeah,
I think most importantly, after our loss yesterday, we kind of regrouped as a team and talked everything over, went through all of our issues and drafts of what we thought we needed to fix. And I think it really helped. I think it brought us together and kind of rallied us, kind of said like, hey, we're here to play and just like prove that we're a good team and we're consistent. So I think we're happy with we did that.
I mean, good drafts both ways for sure on Frozen Guard, but the way you guys played, the way that Crimson just wasn't allowed to play the game was incredible to see you guys shut that down. Was that really what gave you guys the win? Just the amount of pressure you put on that support?
Yeah, I think mash riding helps a lot. you just kind of run into them, but it was great. I think putting pressure on him was made it a lot easier. They have two immortals, so you don't really want to kind of bash your head into them and try and kill the two Stagalas. So I think it was our approach was to take down Crimson and make sure he has no space to heal his tanks.
The squishies. The Buck 2 was a little squishy.
It was an interesting build having the net shot, and it was interesting to see from bulk up.
Yeah, there's a lot of high risk, high reward kind of stuff that you think that I think actually Burrito pulled off. You know, that Khan was an interesting pick, and they played it really aggressively in round 2, and it actually worked out, finding a kill, finding actually 2 kills, I think maybe onto you and you. But the other aspect about it, both of you,
1-2 combo.
but then they played a little passively in other ways, and you know, just from your eyes, what did you see that maybe struck you as a surprise of how maybe Burrito didn't play as well as you were expecting?
I expected him to be a little more aggressive, I don't know if it's like something was happening, but it really felt like they were on the back foot for most of it.
Yeah, they let us set the pace, I think.
Yeah, they definitely let us up the tempo of the game, and it made it a lot easier.
I will say I think it may have just been what you did to their support in the first game, because Frog Isle, they just gave you 80% of the map to work with in the relevant point space. So I think the way that you guys approached that was really, really impressive, and looking forward on in this tournament. Do you expect to have this continued dominance? Do you feel renewed? Do you feel refreshed after that loss in the PPL Spring Final?
I think we feel refreshed. I think we're ready.
Is this a different environment for you guys now? You're not in the losers bracket. It's not a big stage with a lot of people yelling at you. This is kind of just you guys in the booth. Would you say that's playing more to your strengths as sort of that team, that unit, or would you guys like to have that crowd hype feel from Vegas?
I think we're good now.
I think we're good now.
I think we found
it's a transition, but
we needed a day, to warm into it, but I think we found it. And
all right, gentlemen. Well, congratulations on your victory over Burrito, and we look forward to seeing you onward in this tournament.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Good job, guys.
Killing spree.